single element product into that one, and then as each block has the same one.
Yeah.
Okay, how is everybody? Can we start? Close the door. So, okay, for October 31st, we have 2 presentations, yeah? So group, which group is this?
What group is it?
It's more like teaching a concept.
So group 3. About forms, and I think group 4, audio player. These are the 2 presentations that we need. Okay, just a little bit information about what we expect from the forms. So you'll do a form widget, okay? And in the form widget, you will do various different types of inputs, like text fields, doubles, and so on and so forth. You will put limits on them. You will show us how these limits work with the minimum numbers. You have to use a text editing controller and dispose of it when the widget goes away. We can talk about it if you need to. Then radio buttons, checkbox buttons, drop-down fields, and then saving them to some kind of a map, then to send it off with the form. So basically, this group is going to tell us about how to structure a form and how to do various manipulations of the form. Okay? Any questions on this? No? Okay. Yes?
You didn't click my name.
I didn't click your name. Okay. I will do that. There you go. It's only Jonala that's missing. Right? Yeah. Okay. Good. So that's what you're going to show us about the forms. A really nice 20-minute presentation on how forms work and how we do input into the forms. What are the pitfalls, etc. The next group, I think group 4, is going to play audio. Is going to create a widget that plays audio, and I found this link where there's a free music archive, but you can use anything you want, but just find in the internet some MP3 files and list them or whatever, and then play them in the audio player. I think that should be the task. Again, a sort of a 20-minute presentation on what are the aspects of the audio player, how you initialize it, how you control it, what widgets you did for controller, and so on and so forth. So that's for October 31st. Any questions on that from group 4? No? Okay. Who's group 4? You guys. Okay. Very good. Now, the next topic is, so I think there are some people who are not able to submit their homeworks tonight, which is fine. The most important thing is that you do the homework and really understand what it is, rather than, it's not about getting marks, it's more about learning. So you can take a few more days to finish it, it's not a problem. But while we're at it, I want to talk about homework 4. Okay? Now, homework 4 will be, we will have this Figma for it. So you'll have it's the wrong link. Sorry. This should be it. I need to change the size, that's the problem. Sorry. Okay, so in homework 4, you'll use the router. Okay, the objective of this one is using the router. And so you'll have a bottom navigation bar. You'll sort books by author, sort them by title. You don't need to actually do any sorting. You just change the title to show that, you know, it's gone to a sorted by title page. And then there is a profile page which allows you to do log out. And when you log out, you fall into this login page. So it requires the authentication block. Again, you have examples of it. You log back in, you go to books by author. And then in the books by author, if you click on any book, it gives you the detail of the book. Again, you don't need to show any pictures or anything. It's just the navigation that we're dealing with. And the back button gets us to the back button. If I'm calling individual book from the title and I click on this, I want to go back to the title. If I'm doing it from author and this, I want to get back to the author. Okay? And there's also the instructions here. So I'm showing you how you have to do the routes and levels and so on and so forth. So just basically put it together, understand it. It will give you the, you know, the muscle memory of building these things. Okay, so it will make you, you know, learn this refresh listenable, the routes, the shall route, material update router, and also interaction with the authentication block. Any questions? Okay. Yes.
So when clicking on the profile, and then the by author and by title, the 2 buttons are disabled. Is it a design?
Tell me.
Click on profile.
Yeah.
And then click by author.
Oh, you're gonna go back.
Yeah.
No, you should be able to go back. I just didn't plug it in. Very nice, thank you. You should be able to go, but once you build this navigator object correctly, it will go back anyway. I just didn't put the lines to it. I think let's have a look quickly. Prototype. Yeah, I mean from by author. From by title, I'm going to by author. From by title, I'm going to this. And the profile, how am I getting to the profile? Yeah, I connected the profile from those pages, but from profile, I didn't connect to them. But it's, again, it's simple to connect by title. And I think by author. Okay, so yeah, very observative. Thank you. Okay, all right. So So before we move on with other stuff, because we're going to go into sensors today, does anybody have fundamental questions about the block and the routing? Because those are really core concepts. Okay.
At the
Yes.
Do we have any coding for like the Go router?
This is the coding for Go router.
Oh, okay. I thought
The
we were
form.
going to sensors.
No, we did the Go router in class.
Mhm.
The homework is for Go router.
No, but I think we did the presentation of Go route. Did we actually do the demo? No, like in coding? No, right?
We didn't do the demo.
Like,
We did. You have the code. So if you pull in the code,
Mhm.
let me go to GitHub. So you go to tag lecture 8 nested. So if you go to lecture 8 nested, you will see that in navigation, we have this. I mean, basically what I did in class is I pulled this, and instead of coding it in class, I showed the structure, and then we went over the code, and you have the code, so you can build the code. And I think I built the code also in my computer and showed you. But this code with the shell router, I mean, it has two versions, right? It has the simple router version, and it has the shell router version. So in both of them, you can see how we did this. Basically, I mean, if you want to, we can just quickly look at this. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So this is how I'm setting up my router, right? Just so that I don't use literal strings, I define these from a route name. So I call everything route name.home.datamlogin, not to make mistakes in my code. Then I have these navigator keys. And the navigator keys is to allow, remember, on the detail page, not to get the bottom navigation bar. Right? That's why we put the navigator key, so that in that detail page that comes on top, we don't get the bottom navigation bar. Then this router demo is my Go router object for the nested navigation. It has a login route, okay? It has, then the next one is a home route, but home route has child routes, which is now a shell route, okay? So the home route has a child route, which is a shell route, and in that shell route, I have, in this case, like users, and I have profile, but profile has another child route. The only thing is the child route of profile, which shows the profile detail, I am getting rid of that bottom navigation bar by specifying the navigator key being the root navigator key, okay? That's a trick. Yeah, basically you have, the entire template is here for you to look at for that code. It should be able to, generate when you yeah, and in the router demo, yeah, we have the router demo pages. There's a home page, login page, and so on and so forth. So we are using the router demo page, and this sign in, etc. These are from the previous block examples. Anyway, so it's all there. Oh, also, I've done 2 YouTube videos that you can look at that goes through this with coding, actually, sorry. So I've done these 2 videos, you can have a look. These 2, implementing Go router for navigation and shell route. So you can have a look at these if you want to, and it walks you through the coding. Okay, let's go to sensors now. Any questions more? Josian, are you okay? Okay. All right. Let's go to sensors. Okay. So the sensors and many other things on the phone, it comes with permissions as well. So we're going to briefly touch on the permissions, but really there's a few concepts I want to get through today, like conditional imports, saving files, reading images, reading, gallery images, taking pictures, etc. So there's quite a bit of stuff. All right, so let's just go through this presentation and let's try to do coding together as much as possible. All right, so the objective is read and images videos from the photo library, write images, videos to the photo library, and use the camera to take pictures and videos. These are the packages we install: image picker, path provider, path, image gallery saver, permission handler. Image picker allows us to pick an image from either the gallery or, if it's web, from the directory, or in the gallery mode. In the camera mode, it lets you take an image from the camera as a temporary file. Path provider is a package that, path provider gives information about local directories. Like application directory. So each application has underneath it a space where they can save files. Okay? And this application directory is something that you can only get through this package. Through the path providing package, you say get application directory, it gives you that directory. If you want to save files, you know how you have application and then documents and data as storage that's used? So that documents and data is where effectively you're saving anything that you want to save, if you're saving in the application directory. But if you're saving into gallery, it's a different matter. That's outside the application directory. Path, I'm sure you're familiar with this from JavaScript, etc. It's basically just path manipulation. Image gallery saver is a package that allows us to save to the gallery, and permission handler is, again, getting these permissions. Now, for the camera or for the image picker, we have to use these permissions in iOS. So NS Photo Library usage description. Does anybody know what the NS stands for in Apple's iOS SDK?
Next step.
Next step. The former computer, right? Yeah. So when Steve Jobs left Apple and formed Next Computer, that's where he developed all that code, and Apple still carries that namespace, NS. Anyway, so this photo library uses description, camera, microphone uses these texts that you write underneath there in the info.plist in iOS Runner. It appears in the app as saying that this application is using these features, and this is the reason they are accessing. You have to explain the user why you are accessing them. In Android, we don't need to set anything, but we'll come to that later. Now, to add the image picker, we say flutter pub add image picker, and then image picker brings a, we instantiate image picker with this command. And it has two modes, right? Image source.camera, image source.gallery mode, and it brings us a file. Now, why is this X file and not file? It's not from the X files. It's called a cross file or cross-platform file. So so it basically handles both Android and iOS and web. So web is a little bit peculiar because the file system in web comes with a package called Dart HTML, and file system in iOS, Android, Windows, etc. comes with a package called Dart.io or Dart.io. And we'll see in a minute, you can't mix them. So you have to be careful not to mix them. So you have to be platform specific in that. So that's why we're going to talk about conditional imports in a second. You don't need to worry about it for now. So the other thing is, again, peculiarity of the web. When you pick the image comes as a file path in Android, iOS. And the way to display a file path with the native Flutter object is image.file, and then you give the file path. But you don't give the file path, you give the file object. Okay? You have to give the file object, which is constructed from the file path. That's what it requires. Now, this clashes with web. Okay? This is very important. This clashes with web because the moment you put reference to file, you have to import Dart.io. Okay? And if you imported Dart.io in that file will crash in web. It won't work. So we have to do a workaround on this. In web, the file that comes back, remember this file was X file. The X file that comes back, you just display it as a network image. Even though it's on your local computer, you have to use the image.network constructor to access it, okay? Now, how do we do this? So this is the conditional import thing. So this is what you import. So this is what you import. Okay? So this is important. Display image.dart. And this file has just this command. That's that much. It says export display image other.dart. So normally, export this. And this class, display image, and it has a method called display image, takes an X file as an input, right? And returns a widget. It will return an empty container normally, this display image other. But if the library is an HTML, if there is the Dart library HTML loaded, right? So if you are on web, basically, what basically this is saying is that if you're in web, okay, then instead of exporting this, export this, display image web.dart, which is what? So display image web.dart is display image of X file, but the way I'm displaying it, or the widget I'm returning, is an image.network file.path. Okay. If I establish that I'm actually in the web platform, the image, the widget I'm returning for the image is image.network file.path. If, on the other hand, I'm on the Android or iOS platform, so if I'm in Dart library IO, then display image io.dart should be exported, right? Not this, but this one. And what is this? This one is now image.file, and then it imports the Dart IO. This is the difference to that. It imports the Dart IO because the file handle only exists in Dart IO. Okay? So this is the way we can do the we can do the conditional import. Let me just take Jonala. Okay. Any questions on this conditional import? This you're going to come across this when you're developing with Flutter, and if you keep a copy of this page and just apply it. This is what I import. This is any other case. This is if it's a Android or iOS, and this is a web. Okay, if there is some discrepancies, the packages will say on the top of them. For example, let's get a package. Which package? Let's see. Yeah, for example, this package, I don't know, this was done 23 months ago, somebody did it. It's not a probably important package, but it will say platform Android. So it's a package that only for Android. So the packages will tell you what they're good for. Okay, so let's look at saving an image. Okay, so for saving an image, let's look at the web implementation. I'm using a package called File Saver, and in this method, I'm saving the image. Now, I forgot to write here. Okay, so in web, when you pick an image, the image comes to you with a path to a blob. So in web, you go to your directory, you pick up the image, and then the image picker gives you a link to a path. This path is to a blob. It's something called a blob, binary large object. And in order to save that, you first take the handle to that image file, you read it as bytes. So you read all the data in it into this bytes object. And I didn't put the type, I just say var, and it's generic. And then we call this package file saver instance, and we save it as, we give it a MIME type, and this is the important part. In the bytes property, we send these bytes, we give the extension, and then it saves that file to the computer. So this is how it saves, how the file gets saved into your computer. Again, just take these patterns. There are other ways to do these things, of course, with everything, but this is a pattern that works. You can use it. In this case, though, for the image I/O, so for Android and iOS, we use this package, Image Gallery Saver. Okay, and the save image to gallery function. So we've created a save image class, right? We're creating a save image class conditionally. The save image class with its save image to gallery function method is different depending on the platform. So in this platform, we're using this image gallery saver, so different package, .save file and file.path. So it just takes file.path and it is saved. Of course, the other files, the save image other file, all it will do is it will say not implemented. So if I'm not on the web, and if I'm not on, iOS, Android, and somehow, I'm in an unknown place, it will go to this implementation and it will say it's not implemented. But the file that we import is saveimage.dart, which exports either one of these. Clear? Did I? Yeah. Okay. Shall we, why don't we go quickly through Google Maps as well, and then we'll try to do as much as we can. So for the Google Maps, you'll have to get a API key, okay? So if you go to your Google Cloud account and APIs and services, you go for, Google Maps API, and then you create this Google Maps API key, and it looks like this. So it's just an API key. In this case, I just put no application restrictions. So sometimes you can say it's only applicable to certain websites. So for example, you're hosting your own website, and this API key is only valid if the hosting website is blah-blah.com. Otherwise, it's not valid. Or it is restricted to certain IP address, or restricted to certain Android or iOS apps with the corresponding bundle ID. So it cannot be used outside those apps, okay? In this case, it's unrestricted because we want to demonstrate, and I'm going to clearly delete this key later. Because, this is not free. The Google Maps API key is not free. Now, how do we implement it? In the iOS, I have to put these two permissions in the info.plist. So location when in use, usage description. So I want to have a permission to get the location while the guy is using the app, but I also want to get the location when he's not using the app, when it's in the background, right? To be able to track position when the app goes into the background. So I need both permissions. Then in the iOS runner directory, there is a file called appdelegate.swift. I need to import Google Maps here, and I need to place my API key in this format, okay? For Android, access find location. So there's two locations that you can access, approximate location, or not approximate, maybe within 100 meters or within 5 meters. So find location means 5 meters, which you would use for navigation in your car. And then background is the same as in the iOS, when the app is in the background. And this is where you place your API key. You have to be careful the exact locations of this thing with regard to this manifest and application. And this is the location of the directory. And in the web directory, you'll have the index.html file, and you add this code in the index.html file, okay? So this is now, we've basically injected our key for iOS, Android, and web app in this method. And we need two packages. Geolocator package gets the geolocation information from my phone. So it tells me what is my latitude, longitude, and it also tells me when my latitude, longitude changes. Okay, so it has two functions. It creates a stream of latitude, longitude as my location changes, and the Google Maps flutter is just to display the map Okay. So geolocator package, it has a get current position method, right, which gives me the current position. Then it has the get position stream method. Okay. So stream, again, we looked at the stream in conjunction with this authentication block and the router, you know, the refresh listenable, where we turn the stream into a notifier. In this case, I send in some settings, you know, as to how frequently I want to get this position update. You know, I can say I want to get the position update every 100 meters, or I want to get the position update as soon as possible, as soon as it's changed, you know, as much as possible. So that's how accurate I want it, and then I'm listening to it, .listen. And then in the listener, the object that comes is a position, right? Whenever there is a new position, effectively this function gets triggered, and this function is do whatever you want to do with the position, right? So the position comes as a latitude, longitude, do whatever you want to do. So what you can do, for example, when your position changes, you can change the view of the map, right? Because let's say we're showing a map, and we have a marker of our current position, and then when my position changes, I want to move the marker to a new point, okay? So that's how I would do in here if I know where that map is. If I know the controller of the map, then I can talk to the controller of the map and say, you know, go to this position or display this position, okay? Or put this position to your center now. And that's coming next. So this is a Google Maps object, okay? This is the Google Maps widget. There are certain things. The most important thing is that when you paint the Google Maps widget on the screen, it creates a map controller. Okay? It creates a map controller, and once the map controller is created and is functional, it is willing to tell you who it is, or it is willing to identify himself to you. Okay? And that's the function that you need to give here that takes a controller so that you now have the ability to attach to that map controller. Okay? You have the ability to attach that map controller, and then there is a bunch of properties of the Google Map object. For example, my location button enabled. I mean, should I have a button that says, you know, take it to my location? My location enabled true, etc. That initial camera position, you know, give it as a latitude, longitude. Zoom takes values from, I think, 1 to 20 in terms of the height you're looking at. And then if there are any markers to show on the map, you know, like the red location markers, you give it as a set of markers. And let's look at this on map created then, right? So on map created is this function is basically the map controller. I'm setting my map controller, which I created. Right? I have a map controller variable, which is currently empty. And as soon as the map object is created, I'm setting my map controller to this. Then I'm doing certain things. For example, I'm getting the current location, and somehow the current location is going to feed. Well, I don't have this at the moment, but whenever the map is created, I can then do certain things. But the most importantly, I have now access to the controller of the map, and I can change the view of the map, the zoom of the map, and everything. And then with the geolocator, there is two permissions, right? There is one, the phone may have location service disabled overall, right? And that's this is location service enabled is that if you completely switch off location in your phone in a much bigger master switch, you know this, right? And then the check permission, location permission while in use, location permission always, etc. Those are the permissions, app-specific permissions that you have given or requested. Okay, that's that. And shall we, I mean, if you don't have any questions, we can go to coding. Yeah? All right, let's start coding, and then we'll take a break afterwards. But yo, so can you pull in lecture 9 start? Let's forget this syntax. Now I'm having problem with this. How did we get this? Okay. All right, so let's start with Flutter pub add image picker. Okay, let's have a look at our pubspec YAML file. So we have the image picker here, and the other packages from earlier, it doesn't matter. So now let me create, in pages, I create a image page. Now I want to do a stateful widget. Image page, stateful widget. Okay, the reason I'm doing a stateful widget is we're not going to do the blocks, etc. here. You know, we want to do as simple as possible. Is because when I have grabbed the image, I want to be able to show it on my screen. And to show it on my screen, I need to set state of the widget to be able to then show the image. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to do is that let's call X file image, and it's a variable that will be filled later. So X file also exists in the image picker package, so that's fine. And then we want to create our image picker object. Let's call it picker. Actually, we could also do this underscore image. Do you know the difference between variables that become the underscore and not? Yes? Okay. So the underscores are only available within the class, and the other ones and not. You can't access them outside. So picker is going to be a image picker. So we instantiate the class, we assign it to picker. So now we have our picker, and the file should be just a scaffold app bar with a title image example, and we can get the body as a you know, it's always good to put everything in the single child scroll view with a column and so this pattern is sort of a boilerplate I use all the time. So it's a scroll view, so if it's bigger than the screen, it goes. Inside is a column. I'm going to organize things in the column, and in order not to give it empty children, I want to give an empty container for now. And the column, I can just minimize the main axis size to minimum because I don't want extra space. Okay, so the in the children, what I can do is I can put a button, right, to pick the image. And the onPress property, let's figure out what's the onPress property. Who can tell me the onPress? What should I do with the onPress? Who is going to do the work now to pick up the image? Which variable? Picker, right? So on this one is going to do the work, and so there's a few options, but we're going to use this one, pick image. And it's going to return what? Let's have a look what it returns. It returns possibly an X file and possibly no. So if you cancel picking the image, it's going to return null. If you actually pick the image, it's going to return X file. So therefore, its return is a nullable return, right? So if you look here, it's a the pick image return. It's nullable here. Okay, so, but our image file is also nullable, so that's okay. So we can say image, but because it's a future, what does it need?
Await.
Await. Very good. And now why is it complaining on the await? Huh? Async. Sharp. Very good. Okay, so so that part of it is done. Now the source. Let's see what the source needs. Source needs something called image source. Okay, image source. It's an enum, and it gives you two values, camera and gallery. So let's put camera for now. Okay, and after we get this image, let's print its path if it's not null. So this is the way to write it. If it's not null, then print its path. Okay? And obviously, our main.dart is currently configured as a router, and let me see. Let's just get rid of this. Yeah, we don't need to use the router. It can stay there. In the main, I'm going to get rid of this material app. And because it's not a material app, it just requires a home. And the home is image page. Okay, so I stripped out the router and everything. It's just the app is going to go directly to the image page when it opens. Okay? So it's just a plain material app. It has image page as home, and the routes are not being used. Okay. Image page is connected to the main page, so it will fire up image page. Image page is done with a button. There's nothing harmful here. It should run. Okay, so let's try to run this.
Do we have to install a package?
Flutter pop add image underscore picker. Flutter pop add image underscore picker. You know that by default, Android puts the title to the left and iOS puts the title to the center of the app bar, okay? And you can override that with a flag. I think it's called where was it? Sorry, it's in the app bar. Center title. Okay, all right, so let's see how this works quickly, and then we'll take a break. We say pick image. I think if you do like this and click this, it gives you this ability to, with option and mouse, you can navigate here. and then you can take a picture. Okay, so this is this is the simulator, and we say, okay, take a picture, say okay, and it's out. So the exercise here obviously was to get this, right? To get this path on the bottom that it spit out. It's something.jpg. It goes to the, it's in that com.example.lect4. I think this file was created back then with a file name lect4, therefore this stayed in the namespace. But it's in the cache, so it's not on the permanent part of the app's local files, and that's the file name. So now we have the handle on the file name picked from the camera. Okay? And any questions so far before we take a quick break? Okay, so after the break, we're going to now save this image and also display this image, okay? So let's be here at, 5 minutes later, if you can, please. No? Question? Yes. Yes. In homework 3, you can use it random color. You don't need to download it. Yeah. Do it as simple as possible. It's not.
The color will be based on the.
Just do mock book with the random color. Just like we've done in the book, it's already there. You don't have to worry about it.
Image on the code picker. You are the button.
So I have the. 它现在 import 的是这个玩意儿。So then I
现在出不来。
我现在出了。
对，我在修，为什么它一直出不来？
Let me have a look.
所以这样它出来会长怎样？
它之前出来。
Just one second.
所以我们只要做这样，它就结束。没有，你要有个 filter 就是。 它的作者是自己写的，或者变成绘画就会 filter。然后这个它是真的，还是它就是跳出？是真的 filter。with different 作者名字和他书的名字。然后还要做一下这个 back。哇靠，超多！哇靠！我感觉我怎么讲 ？Here 是不是要讲 ？And try to put the color.
Where is the image URL?
是也做不出来啊。
When you're painting that page, can you just where's the so you have the book image?
I don't have the book image is
Is it an object? Is it a widget?
有一点感觉。
You create stateful widget and you're supposed to create. Or if you would just create a stateful widget.
Print the image URL of the book. Print book.image URL. Just so we see if it's working. booklet. Where is the Is this the block for the books? Okay, so you do. So first of all, for the book class, you have to create mock book or something. Let me do that for you. In the user, you have to create book user.
66 per month.
No.
Don't need, right? I was read that.
Minimum balance
Or I have
899 by corrupted dollar.
So you have to create book, mock book. So go to user.bar, look at the function of create mock user. Here. Similarly, you have a function like that. Static book create mock book. You have it?
Is something like this okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so create, you have to create mock book. Go to your block where you have the list of books.
0%.
And initialize the book. No. Well, here, basically,
ప్రోగ్రామ్ లో కూడా ఒక డాలర్ బోన్ ఇవ్వట్లేదు
let's say void
Email
and as soon as you like register, you can have like a microphone.
yes, okay, fine. So inside it,
Microphone.
this start generating books equals
scroll
start
ముందు రేపోనే ఇంకా ఎక్కలేదు
very good.
Start the time you create, and then you can
Books.
because anyways we have to give some kind of
వేరే వాళ్ళు ఏమైనా కలుగుదాం అంటే కూడా మనకి ఎవరు తెలియదు.
yeah. So you just like you
So
will
generate.
and then there should be something to it, and then at the end, like at the end of the time, you get an option to vote somebody out. 5 years to vote somebody out, and if you vote out the very
Earlier in one of
I
the
can tell you the there's like a microphone, but then you don't want to start as a oh, sorry, I'm the mafia, sorry. It's like a similar.
Okay, look at it just after class. Okay, now come back here, guys. Pay attention to this. Okay, so now we have done this. Let's try to display it quickly, and then we'll do the conditional import. Okay, so if image is not null, then I want to do the following. So because now I've got the image, I want to paint the image on the screen, and so if the image is not null, I want to repaint my screen. Okay, but I still haven't injected my image, did I? Okay, so what I can do is under the filled button, this is an important pattern. Again, you need to pay attention to this. You can inject conditionally an object into a list of widgets in this format. So if image is not null, then show image.file Okay, so basically I have a fill button finishing here. Then after the fill button, I'm trying to inject another widget, which is an image widget, okay? But I'm only injecting it conditional upon this. So this is a syntax that works within the list elements of the column. If it's not null this, but this is still complaining. It's complaining because it doesn't know where the file is, because file only lives in Dart.io, which needs to be imported. Okay? So we've imported Dart.io. Now it's still, it doesn't like the semicolon, that's clear. It has to be comma. It still doesn't like this construct. Who can tell me why it's not liking it?
It's an optional.
Huh?
It's an optional.
It's optional.
Yeah, so you have to like force it with an exclamation mark. So you have to force it with like an exclamation mark.
Yeah, so we call it nullable. So it's nullable, image is nullable, so therefore the fact that its path exists is not sure. So therefore, you have to either say, no, I'm sure it's there, which this is in this case we're going to do because we already checked it here. Okay? So what is this code doing now? The image file, if it's coming back with an image, if it's not null, I'm setting repainting the screen, and then as I'm repainting the screen, the bottom part, this will be okay, and it will put an image on the screen. Okay, so let's save this. Now it already should put the image on the screen because of this hot loading of Flutter, the image already contained this. But let's think. You see, because the returning image is null, it actually didn't trigger the set state. So if I did this, so right now image is null. Let me go pick an image. It's now showing the image. Now I try to pick an image, and I cancel. Now it's not going to show anything because the image property was updated with null, and set state was triggered anyway, so it's showing the image. So it's just one of these nuances that may take you 20 minutes to figure out why it's happening like this. But it's one of those things. Okay. It's now what we've done is we've picked the image and we're able to display the image. But what we should do is maybe we should do some in the services. I create two files, save image, and I create also a file, at this level called display image. Okay, so for the display image, let's start with the display image. We're going to do these conditional imports to display the image from web and from Android. Okay. Yeah, so here, the first one will be display image.dart, right? One of the files. The other file will be display image other.dart. You can also do it exception. And the other one will be display image io.dart for Android and iOS. And the other one will be display image web.dart. So display image will be doing what? It will be exporting this this file, the other, right? But if dart.html, dart.library.html, it's going to export display image web.dart. And if dart.library.io, then it's going to show display image io.dart. So that's the conditional import part for display image. Now, for display image io, I have create a class, let's say, of display image, and it has a method that turns a widget. Okay, let's call its method also display image of x file and return image dot file file.path. Now, it has been complaining about a lot of things. The fact that it's complaining into widget means it needs what? Which library does it need? Which import? Excellent. It needs material.dart. If it needs X file, I can get it from image picker. And if it is looking for file, it comes from Dart.io. Okay, so this will just return image.file in Android and iOS. In web, let's just copy the whole thing. Web. Okay, obviously this is not going to be there. Material will be there. Image picker can be there. Now this will be in image.network, and we are no longer do this file object, but it will be just the path. And for the other, we're going to do, let's copy the same thing. For the other, the material has to be there. Actually, sorry, the X file needs to be there as well. But we're just going to return a container, let's say. Okay, we're not returning an error, but in order for everything to, because the display image method should return the same type from all three objects, right? Because you're going to use it as a generic. Okay, so let's go to where we use this display image. Any questions on these files, right? We went through it on the slides. Okay, so go to the image page. Now, this here now, I want to change it to display image of image. Because image is an X file, and this one I import. Now, do I import other IO web or this one? Which one? This one, right? I only import this one. The other ones I don't import. I only import this one. And the thing is, it's imported here already Dart.io from the previous one, but because it's now showing yellow, it's saying it doesn't need it anymore. So in the web, it won't crash. Oh, we made a mistake. We have to say static in the beginning. Does anybody understand this static? Is it clear why we're putting static in front? Look, display image is a class. If I want to use one of its methods, I need to first instantiate the class. But if I'm using a method in a class without instantiating the class itself, then I need to define that method as a static. And this is what I'm doing here. I'm using the class just as a container. I'm actually just writing a little function. Okay? So going back to the image page, this is display image. And let's see if this will work. It works. Okay? So let's try to do quickly in web. I hope it works. I'm not going to get. Okay, so let's run this for web. Oh, this may not work. Oh, it worked. Okay, that's my daughter actually, the first one. Okay, so now we have a image that works in network and in Android with that, selection method, etc. So it's all yes.
Like for the image source, we selected camera as the option, but in the web, it still put up your directory. But what if you had like a webcam? Would it pull up the webcam?
It may. We have to, figure with it, but it may. But let's just change the image source to gallery. It gives me the same thing. But on Android, let's see. Now it's bringing me to the gallery page, in the Android, but because I have no pictures, I can't do anything. Okay, cool. So we have this one, and let's quickly do also the save image bits. Save image .dart, then not here, sorry, and save image web, save image IO, and other. So the save image will be export save image other if dart.library.html save image web.dart, and if dart.library.io save image IO. Okay. For this one, we said we need a few packages. Which packages did we say we need? Okay, file saver and image gallery saver. Okay, so Flutter pop add file saver. Okay, I'm adding this package Flutter pop add file saver, and then Flutter pop add, what was the other one? Image gallery saver. Oh, I made a typo. Okay, so we have those, and for the I/O, I need to return a future string, save image to gallery. So let's go to the I/O, save image. Now, this one I'm not going to forget the static keyword in the beginning. It will return a string in the future and save image to gallery, let's call it, or just say, yeah, save image to gallery. And it takes an X file, and it's an async, right? And this X file comes from image picker, that's not a problem. And it needs to return a string. But what I want to do here is that because the saving can be, actually, don't worry about this. I will just return this quickly. So await image gallery saver. So this is this package image gallery saver has this class, and then it has, let's bring it in. It has this method, I think save file, yeah. And the file is, yeah, file.path. Okay. And return, okay. All right, so this is the implementation using this image gallery saver package, implementation for Android and iOS. For web, we're using this file saver package, and we first read it and then use its instant and save file. Do that template, bring it here. We're not using this, and we're not using this. And this file saver, we need to pull it in. First, we need to read the file. So say bytes equals file dot reads as bytes. But this is it's a future. Await, read a byte. And then for saving the file, it needs a name, and it needs either one of these things. We have bytes this time, so we're going to have name equals, let's call it hello, bytes is what we just read in. Then it needs a extension, let's call it JPEG, and then a MIME type JPEG. Okay? So this is that. For the other, implementation, obviously we don't have any of that. Return, sorry. And this comes from image picker. Okay, so let's just recap. Save image sends either one of these files or the other. Other is basically not doing anything. Web is taking in the, it's first reading the bytes of the file because we've got a handle. And remember I said that it gives you a blob handle. We first read the bytes into the bytes object, and then we push those bytes to that file saver here and save it as hello.jpg with a MIME type JPEG for the web. I mean web meaning to the directory of your computer. The save image IO uses a different package, image gallery saver, and it's using just the basic function of save file image gallery saver. Okay? So, any questions on this? If not, then let's plug this into the to this page. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. Do you see this blob? So the file name in the web, when we printed the file name, it came out like this. It says blob HTTP, etc. So that's just the way that it comes out in web. Okay, so let's test this. That's the web example. That's that example. So let's, and it's all refreshed for both of them. So in VS Code, you can run your code for both platforms at the same time, and you'll have this drop down here to switch between the two. And the debug console is the same. You'll have two different debug consoles for the two instances that you're running. Okay, so let's look at the web. Let's start with this one. Let's pick an image. Let's do it with the camera. Pick an image. And supposedly it should have saved to the directory. And let's see if it's there in the gallery. Okay, so we've used the camera source to pick an image, and in our code we should have saved this. No, we haven't saved the image. What am I talking about? We haven't saved the image. Okay, let's save the image here. Await. Save image dot. So let's bring in this. Of course, we're bringing this one in, right? Not the other files. Save image dot gallery, and the file is image. But this should really happen here inside. Okay. This should hopefully work. It should have been refreshed already. Let's pick an image. Save file to gallery on channel image gallery saver. Let's restart
Don't you
this.
need another parameter or something?
I don't know. Let's just restart the code. Let's have a look. Somebody is not happy here. I don't know what's happening. No, there's something in console. Okay, let's do one more thing. So Flutter clean is one thing that you can do with, no, it's still not running. But it really requires a newer version of the code. This thing was just working now. What is going on? I had done this earlier, so I'm going to try to switch that branch to see if it will work. What?
Did you add the permission for the Android to access the reading and writing to storage?
I didn't, but it's not the, that's not the, it shouldn't be the problem. Let me see if this will compile. Hopefully. I'll figure that out later. There's no point in wasting time. I don't get it. How am I? Anybody experienced with this Kotlin plugin? Is anybody able to run this, or everybody's getting the same error?
No, I haven't. I've been trying all the time. I cannot run it. I can run all the branches.
Let's just quickly see if this will work. No, it built it this time. Okay, we're back in action. So let me switch to, if I switch, it will go back to the book. Anyway, so if I do a pick image this time, I go to, so this is a different file, not the original file. I'll fix it and give it to you, but I just want to show it to you quickly. Image picker page, and image source is camera. Remember, this Android device doesn't have anything in the gallery. And our objective is to now be able to save an image that shows in the gallery. Let's see if it will work. Okay, pick image. Camera. Okay, so let's see if it's now inside the gallery folder. It's in the gallery, okay? So we have, what we have done is we have used the camera source to pick the image. It gave us an artificially generated image, but then we save this image to the gallery. And now when we go to the gallery to pick up the image, we can get it from the gallery. And if I select this image, it gives me, it brings me that image. And it shows instant of X file. But if I did print image file.path, it would be easier. If I pick the image from the gallery, it gives me the path of the image, but not the path from the gallery, but path of the image. One of the things that you should do here is that, for example, in the init state, you can say, you can look at this path provider function. This path provider, and look at the API of that path provider, which are the directories that are available. So get application cache directory, application documents directory, support directory, downloads, etc., etc. For example, let's get this. It's from the path provider. Obviously, this is an async function, and you should never put an async function into an init state because you don't want your init state to take too long. So therefore, you instantiate another function, void async init, let's say. And in the async init, you can say the directory is get application cache directory, and then we can see if we can print anything out of it. And it needs an await, yeah? Oh, we didn't call it, sorry. Async inits. Yeah, so the application cache directory is this one, and when I do this image to pick the image, I pick the image, it is identical, so this directory is identical to this one, okay? So the temporary images are put there. It's in the path provider. Okay, so we haven't got to Google Maps, but I'm going to put it there. In fact, there is another code that I had done earlier that I can quickly show you. Let's quickly run this. So is there any questions on this image? So we've picked an image, we saved it to file in both web and Android, iOS. Actually, we didn't save in web. So let's just see how this works on web. Let's fire up web. Let's build it. Oh, context of this, what is going on? Okay, I'll have to look at this later. So pick image, gives me something from here, and it saved the image to the downloads directory. So this is the image that was saved in the downloads directory, which we picked from the web. So the image saving works on the web, works on the iOS. It saves it to gallery, and that's the demonstration of that. Quickly looking at the Google Maps API. Let's run this on Pixel. Okay. Okay, so remember it asks for the permissions automatically. So it's saying allow Google Maps and Flow to access the device location while using app or only this time. Yeah, while using app. And it brought the location. And let's look at the code. I mean, the code is similar to what I showed you earlier. The Google Map object is this one. On map created. I'm going to package all this up and put it to you to the repo for you to have reference. But just while we're at it, we look at it. So the on map created gives me the controller, and then now that I have controller, the map controller is defined in the stateful widget. So Google Map controller is defined here. Whenever the widget is created, I set the value of my map controller, which I have a handle on, to the map controller that's coming to me via the callback. The callback is sending me this map controller. And then what I do is I immediately do get current location. And with the get current location, it's this function, checking service permissions, etc. And then from the geolocator, I get current position. And then I also get a position stream and listen to the position. If the position changes, in this case, I'm looking for the altitude. If the position changes, I'm going to set the state. And but let's just change this to set state anyway. Okay, and here with this one, I can change the position here, right? You know this. Do we know where it was? Guys?
Is it location?
Where is it? Here. Okay. Very good. Okay. So if I set location, theoretically that listener should take me to the new location. Well, it did. Okay? So that's what the listener does. This listener, it gets the new position from the geolocator get position stream, and then it goes to the controller and animates the camera, because as you can see, it didn't go abruptly. It animates the camera to a new position. Okay, so that's pretty much how the Google Map works. I'll package this up and put it in the code for you so you can have reference. Okay, any questions? So, okay, so next, what is today, 24th? Yeah, in next week, or the next Thursday, the Thursday next, we'll have this class presentations, yeah? And you understand what to do with the forms and audio player, and then it will go on like that. But you should really start thinking about your app. And again, with regard to the app, how are you going to, also start thinking about how are you going to structure it, which blocks you're going to use, where are you going to put the blocks, and so on. And we should talk about it, about the structure before you get coding. But of course, first